just we're live. We're live right fucking now.
Fucking right now, everybody. We are fucking live. 2 count. John Russell,
There's
top
no lead in. This is bull. There's no fucking lead in.
You guys didn't know it's Tuesday. It's another 2 count Tuesday. We're missing Ace right now.
He may or may not be here, but by the time we get pissed off and leave, and it isn't because of any of you guys. We love you guys. We love the fact that we're on, and I mean, typically, I know where I'm talking to just you and me right now, Tom. I know that because our dear folks, please come and watch us hasn't even gone out yet. But I mean, it's just
it's that I'll be real honest with you. I already feel like we're in that late summer funk where we got that lull going on where, State Fair for Minnesotans is right around the corner. And it's going to be even more fucking disastrous this year, I guarantee you, because of the fact that our governor is now a vice president candidate. And I'm not trying to get into politics. You know me, because I don't want to talk about that out here because it's just going to be a clusterfuck, and I don't want to do that. Okay. But I will say this. Josh Joseph, what's up, fella?
Hey, Joshua. I'm sorry. I like to call. I mean, I have a nephew that's named Josh. I call him Josh all fucking time. And he's Jesus God. That kid, he's like 6'10". But anyway, oh fuck yeah. Well, he's old though. They're all. I don't have very many young nephews anymore. I mean, they're all starting to get married. No, they're all over 20. They're like 20, 23. It's they're not a whole lot younger than my kids. My kids are not a whole lot younger than you.
Papa JR.
I know. I know. That's the thing. It's like I have my oldest kid is just turned 34, I think.
That could be,
which is hard to believe that I'm still around. So if he's 34, the other one's 31, or going to be 31 in November. I think that's it.
Well, if you were like my parents, you would have been gone a long time ago.
I haven't.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry to me. I don't give a shit.
Let's bring it down, everybody.
It's already broken down.
I mean, yeah, anyway. What? Honestly, without Ace here, it's just JR and I, and it's not like we don't love having everybody here, but there is some Tuesdays. JR works real hard. I work real hard. Ace is actually working right now, charity event for DJing and stuff. So shout out to Ace for doing, let's just call it the Lord's work. Again, it's charity work, so it's got to be worth something. But yeah, I felt like it was just a long weekend, like just exhausting long weekend. Look at that. You bring back the Bears. Hell yeah, man. Bring back the Bears.
I need the Bears so fucking bad right now.
Yeah, no kidding. We're basically just two old curmudgeons right now. We've been bitching about different things in life. So let's lighten it up a little bit. Let's
start off first, because I did. I don't know about you, but hold on. Let me type this here. I had actually on Saturday. I had a pretty good night, a pretty good day.
You're in Duluth, right?
I was up at Duluth at the
Dublin.
Yes, thank you. I mean, Jesus, just tell the whole story because I can't fucking think.
I wasn't there. I can't.
I know you weren't. So I was up at the Dublin. Have you worked there yet? Did you get booked there?
Not through Funny Business or whoever else was booking it forever. But Dan Hinnenkamp when he was booking host.
Okay.
So that's actually when I worked with Nathan Trimmel.
Okay. Oh yeah, Nathan Timmel's awesome.
Yeah.
But have you contacted Mike Marvell about that?
I have, yeah, and I just I got to follow up with him. You know how it goes.
I know you're you, and it's hard to do it. But please do follow up with him because there's I think I've probably performed in that room since I started 18 times.
Mm.
And I've never ever had a bad crowd there. They're always there for a good time. It's such a nice warm room and it's so much fun to do. Anyway, so it started off with me panicking my ass off at 8 o'clock in the morning because the fella who I had asked to feature for me, because I knew you were already booked, called me and said, I have a fever and I lost my voice. I'm sick. I can't do it. And then the scramble begins.
Of course. Yep.
And I'm thinking, and I'm asking, because it's the day of.
Mm-hmm.
It's super hard because if you're working, anybody that's good is probably already working.
Most of the time. Yep. You know who you could have reached out to? Our good buddy Tovar. You could have reached out to Tovar.
Anyway.
Just saying, throwing it out there.
I'll be honest with you, Josh. It's so for me, I don't know. I've many times thought, oh my God, this show is going to suck. And it's been fantastic. And I've also thought, oh my God, look at all these people. This is going to be great. And it sucked. For the most part, at the level where I'm at, I know what to do and how to try to figure it out. I don't do jokes anymore that have a tendency to maybe push people one way or the other. I used to tell a great joke, and I'll tell it to you guys now if you want to hear it. There aren't that many of you here, so I'm happy to tell it. But it's kind of a tribute to my dear friend, I love Andy Kaufman. You guys know that.
My
Not
dearest
only because
friends,
we were close pals. And now I just blanked. Anyway, I do this because not only was he a huge, wrestling fan, and that's one of my favorite things to watch. If you haven't watched it, please go find it on YouTube. It's called I'm From Hollywood, and it goes through all the stuff he did in Mid-South, and it has all the clips from Mid-South, and it's really fantastic. Anyway, so I'm up and I usually do this after the crowd has gotten to know me a little bit, probably 15, 20 minutes in, maybe further. And I like to say, I just want to thank you guys because you guys have been such a fantastic crowd. Hi, Tina. And it's always awesome to be with the crowd that makes you feel good. Because to be honest with you, tonight's kind of bittersweet for me. Because this morning before I came up here, I had to put my dog down, and that was pretty hard. And he was just, I mean, if you don't, he was a great dog. Miko was his name, and he was just I just think of all these things that he would do, like he would go outside and he'd eat grass, but he would lift his lip, like, ooh, only the tenderest of grass for me, so he was pretty funny that way. But it's just, it's just hard. And he loved to chase the squirrels. He'd chase squirrels up the tree. He'd actually, get them up there and just sit there and stare at them. But the other thing that he would do is he would actually dig up their nuts and eat them, which I thought was weird for a dog, but it's like, if I can't get you out of that tree, I'm going to starve you. So, that was pretty cool. But, so it's just, the whole thing's just hard. It's just hard. And you guys know, I mean, I'm a comedian, so it's not like I got a whole lot of money. I got to put the dog down. So it's just hard. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you've ever had to smother a live dog with a pillow, but it's hard. It's it's just hard.
Oh shit.
Oh, don't spill.
I know my I tried to.
Oh, anyway, so then people would, people would say, "Oh my God," and then I'd say, "Oh, come on," if if I um if I would have been uh if I would have smothered a live dog with a pillow, I would have scratches all up and down my arms if I hadn't been wearing gloves. Um, anyway, so that's the thing. Now, some people view that, and the thing is, I would play the shit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I would play that up like nobody's business. I had women coming up to me saying they were crying and come up and say, "God damn it, you made me cry." And I'm like, and so some people got it, and some people thought it was the worst fucking thing. To me, yes, I like it. But here's what I found, Joshua. I found that in order for me to make sure, like, remember when I was talking before about, oh my God, there's so many people here, but the show still sucks. I know that I got to be in a really kind of special situation in order to do that. And there aren't very many of them. Oh God, I just saw this on my. I
If
just
you
saw
need
that.
to pause the camera for a second,
Yeah,
or
let me do that, you guys. Let me go grab a
go
different
find some of
shirt.
that sweet gaffer tape you got around. Just
I don't have any of it right here handy, unfortunately.
I'll you know what? I'll regale them with some of my. I'll answer some of Joseph's.
Tell him, yeah, fill him in on some stuff. I will be right back. Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna answer this one here, Josh or Joseph. Can you both sense if the crowd is gonna be one way or another? No. And that's just a simple answer. But yeah, you heard JR's comment as far as bigger crowds. Sometimes you think, oh man, it's gonna be great tonight, and they could be dead as hell. Other times you got smaller crowds, and they are the liveliest bunch, and they love everything that you're gonna say. They're gonna laugh. And sometimes you got big crowds like that. I mean, I'll say this. Sometimes it's the venue. Sometimes it's opening acts. Sometimes it's just even sometimes servers or host like or ushers who are seating people can mess up how an audience is. Um, a good example is it was Veterans Day. Oh God, 7 years ago now, back in 2017, and Joke Joint no longer there. R.I.P. It was an absolutely packed house. Veterans all plenty. I mean, this is the most people I've ever seen at Joke Joint ever in my life. And I mean, every seat was full. They normally have curtains covering up booths that weren't being occupied. All those were pulled back. The booths were full. Everything on the balcony was full. I'm just the host, and I didn't have a good read on them. But it's Veterans Day. They all clearly are there as veterans with their families or wives or girlfriends or husbands or whomever as the veterans. And that was one of the craziest, awesome sets just because I decided, like, you know what? We got to address it. We got the elephant in the room kind of thing. So, all right, guys, let's do it. Where are my Marines at? Ooh, all right, calm down. All right, shut up. Army, yeah, okay, all right. Air Force, couple claps. Navy, yeah, there you go. All right, couple Navy people, and then I go. We'll just say it anyways. Coast Guard, and there was like one lonely sack of shit on the balcony. He's just like, yeah, yay! I'm like, you should have shut the fuck up. And I said, thank you all for being here. Thank you for your service. I can't actually judge anybody because I grew up as a Navy brat, so I am de facto gay. And it literally just lit the whole room on fire, set the mood for the whole rest of the night. Everybody had a great time that show. Everybody who just decided just to go with it, and it was fantastic. But sometimes you can just lose them pretty easily on that kind of stuff. And then other nights you get a crowd of people and you think, oh man, you walk in and they're raring to go. But as soon as they sit down, it's this idea of make me laugh, funny man. It's like, I fucking hate you so much when you say that kind of shit. Like, there's people who just give that look to you, like, just make me laugh, funny man. And it's like, you are a real prick. What's up,
That's. I was just say.
WHC?
I was going to say, oh well, WDHC. Good to see you guys. Oh yeah, Tom's been working out like a motherfucker.
Actually, it's more just playing golf and then sweating a lot of pounds off.
That's one of the things. That's one of the reasons that I would like to see you talk with him and work at Dublin's, because Dublin's is like, it's not like going and doing a bar show. You know, it's like a real comedy club. They've been doing stand up there. Huh?
Look at this shit from Joshua Joseph. I have my first 5 minutes coming up in November. I've wrote out most of it, and I'm finding trouble finding the beat of the set. How do you find it, or is it something that just happens organically? Now, Joshua Joseph, the real answer is: have you done any open mics? Have you done any, practice time, if you will, getting kind of ready and geared up? Because it's one thing to just be a talker. We know you got podcast skills and you got some commentary work or whatever have you with some wrestling stuff, but the biggest thing is none of this stuff always or will necessarily transfer over to the actual stage. You gotta be smart with the jokes. It just takes time. The more you go up, the more you'll find yourself. Yeah, that's actually true.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, and this is one of the reasons that Tom and I do this show. And one of the reasons I did it with Ace is because comedy and wrestling are so similar in this regard, right? I mean, you can know the basics. You can know what it is that you need to do. But it's more than just knowing what to do. And it's the same thing with jokes, right? You may say, "Oh my God, I wrote this down. This is the funniest fucking thing I can't believe how funny this is." And it may be funny to you, but when you portray it to the audience, they might not hear it the same way that you heard it in your head. You sometimes will hear people say, that one's just for me. You'll hear comics say that a lot. It's a little out for them to kind of say, well, that shit didn't work. But I kind of tell people, and I don't know if I've told you this time. I probably have at some point. It's kind of like pilot hours. We know tons of people. Tom and I both do. The people that go to, in Minneapolis is very easy to go to 2 open mics a night. You can be doing 10, 12 open mics a week if you want to. And those people get really good because they're continually tinkering with stuff in order to get, because you have to get there's a lot of different things that go with this, right? It's almost like finding a character as a wrestler. But one of the things that we have to do as stand-ups is when we first start going up, we kind of have to think about, okay, so how does the audience view me? If I'm telling, I mean, and there, I'm not going to lie to you, there are certain jokes and certain topics that I'm just not going to touch, because coming from me, they're not going to work. Just my personality. And it's the same thing with Tom. And it can be different things, and it can be things that we're absolutely comfortable talking about and we have no problem, but it just doesn't sound right coming from us. You know what I'm saying? So for example, I talk in my set, sometimes I talk about I don't really talk about sex. And one of the reasons that I don't is because nobody wants to imagine me having sex with anybody. You know what I'm saying? And so that's not I mean, so for me, what people like to hear from me is they like to hear me talk about myself and the things that happened to me in the way that I portray them. And they also like to hear the self-deprecating. So one of the first things I do is I'll do it right now. It's like I take my hair out. I'm like, okay, I'm John Russell. I'm going to be your headliner. And now I'm just another pretty girl from Iowa. And the audience loves it. And they know that I'm not taking myself too seriously. You know what I mean? But anyway, it goes. It took me a long time to find that out. It took me working with other comics to find out to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't need to know that.
That's a detail you could have kept to yourself there, Joshua Joseph.
It is. But
Yeah.
that's the thing, and so the whole thing goes to like I was saying, you can go and do all these things, and I liken it to pilot hours. A pilot flies however many hours, and they continue to get good. And so it'd be like I know a lot of people, and Tom does too, that say, "Oh, I'm a stand-up comic." How often have you been? I go up maybe twice a year. Well, you're okay. I mean, and I'm not going to judge, but the reality is that if you're going up twice a year, you're not getting paid very often, unless you've already gone down that path and decided to pull back. I'll be honest, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm lucky at this point with this job if I do, 2 weekends a month. I mean, honestly, that's about my limit. And if I wasn't doing more, I'd be happy to I'd be happy to do more, but I come home, I'm exhausted, and then I don't go pushing to try to get booked on stuff.
Right.
By the way, if any of you are out there and you know a place that would like to have a comedy show, or you think this would be a good place for a comedy show, please mention Tom and my name. Mention that Tom and I would be happy to come down and put on a show, or come wherever and put on a show, as long as we can make it, financially worthwhile. A lot of the places that we get booked, we're lucky because they've been doing comedy a long time and the audience is kind of trained.
Yeah.
So for example, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's actually a huge thing as far as being trained, or you even brought up like pilot hours and stuff, and you compare this to wrestling. That's part of it too. Financially feasible. We've touched on the area where now we are very, very close to wrestling as far as everybody needs to know their worth no matter what it is in entertainment. Musicians and bands. This is one of the reasons I even do a joke about cover bands, because I know how much top cover bands can make in a night, and a lot of times they don't have to travel the 2, 3, 4, 5 hours that you and I might, or even wrestlers have to. So and then they're just playing other people's songs. So again, it's one of those ones where again, I'm talking about life. I know what I know as far as this entertainment realm goes, and that's the biggest thing. And Joshua Joseph, it sucks that you don't have anything that's real close to you, but again, it's good that you're at least feeding your buddy who is doing comedy, bringing the show your way, some of these jokes, so he can kind of tell you whether or not they're good. But we've known guys, Minneapolis is not real close to St. Cloud or Rochester if you're going to go and do it every night. But if you can line it up where you're doing 2 or 3 shows or open mics a weekend, or a week, excuse me, making that commitment, that's one thing too. So
leave this up here for a minute, because here's the thing. So when I was running the open mic in Rochester, Tom would come down 90 minutes to get down to that comedy club. We used to have a guy that drove from Des Moines, Iowa to Rochester, Minnesota, about 3 hours every single week to do
a good day,
5 minutes at a comedy club. We had people driving from Sioux Falls, from Southwest Minnesota, hour and a half, 2 hours. You have to love to do it. I believe. And again, very similar to wrestling, because the difference is wrestlers are getting their brains kicked in and we don't.
Well, they're physically getting their brains kicked in.
Yeah.
We just like to deal with the mental health issues that come from the idea of I'm trying to make something funny happen. Can you all see it? Do you like it? Please like it, because then if you like it, you like me. Can you please like me? I need friends. I need your laughter for my fucking fuel. Like I need
Yeah.
it. I need it like I need fucking water and blood in my veins. That's what I need from life.
Yeah.
And Joshua, I appreciate the hell out of you, man. And I've said this for so many years and for so many different reasons. People can avoid being a comedian. They'll fucking do it. Because again, you need to love it. That's the biggest thing. You need to love it because there's gonna be so many times it won't love you back. Financially, it won't love you back until you get a fucking huge break. And most of us just don't get it. I mean, JR and I are two prime examples of guys who are Midwest comics. We are not traveling across the country very often. And if we are, a lot of times it's like, hey, I had a business trip out to DC. I lined up a couple of bringer shows or like just shows anyways. And now, all right, like it's something. I could say I did DC. I could say I did like Dallas area, the DFW area. But and yeah, hey, you know what? 20 minutes. It depends on also when this was, because 20 minutes back when I first started doing comedy, that could actually get you most of a tank of gas right there. So
$20.
You could
yeah.
buy like 3 hours for 6 minutes, $20.
We used to have, so there's a comedian that I used to work with, and absolutely, yeah, it is. Well, so it kind of depends. I will agree with the first part, and when you get to a certain point, the bombing part is not so bad because I've had people say, "Oh my God, what do you do if you have a bad set?"
I drink an extra beer.
No, what I do is I say I count my money again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there is that part too.
I mean, it's
oh
yeah.
Oof. Oh no. No.
So
Not
it's
for 20
but
bucks.
depends on what, here's the thing, man. It depends on what stuff is. It's and oops, sorry, I took that one off. There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Put that story up there. Read it.
Wow. See, like that's a big thing right there. Like
Josh, have fun, but live for those girls, man. I mean, that's the
we've had so many times where you and I mean, you've had your kids and you started doing comedy after kids were already grown and stuff like that. But I mean, we've had friends who, they got little ones and then they're, start having the conundrum of, do I stay at home these nights or do I try to go out, or is there a late night mic after the kid goes to bed and my spouse is watching them? It's like, how about this? What do you prioritize more? And this is again why I go back to that, because I did that memorial service for Roger Schultz a few years back, and one of the things I said at both the regular person funeral and then the comic and the R-rated service, I said it both times, same way, is that I loved Roger a lot. He was so great when all these new comics would start. He was encouraging, and that was really one of his biggest faults. He kept these people in it when they should have just said, "Nah, I'm better off." But that's also part of this is, again, if you know it's going to pull away from things that are generally important, right? So Josh, you got your talented girls there. That's a huge thing though too. Again, because it's not only commitment, like with having to do it, but just again, you got to get the time in to be able to get better at it. And I think that's a big thing that people forget about entertainment as a whole. Because I mean, how many times do you get after like 2 years of doing this? Oh, when you gonna be well, probably when you started, it was Carson or whatever. So I'm kidding,
I started super late. You're not even to the age I started at yet.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah. But here's the thing though, too, is after year 2, oh well, when you got to be on Netflix, when you gonna get on Comedy Central? I was like, you understand, this is not an overnight success story kind of thing. That very rarely happens, and you got to be literally the most fucking talented person to pull an overnight success. Because even that overnight success, that's 5-6 years of repetitive work, and you're drilling home the set, and now you have 1 hour down. You possibly got a second hour because you're gonna have to feed all of that for whoever wants to scout you, whoever's picking people to do, well, not Conan, but Colbert now, or I mean, if Fallon has anybody who's actually stand up, or Kimmel as far as late night stuff. I mean, that's the whole thing. That was always the biggest goal for so many years. And if you had that, you were just golden. But nowadays, I mean, we know plenty of guys who have had late night experience and they're still nowhere national. I mean, they might do national shows, but they're not anywhere nationally known.
One of my favorite things is I got to work, and Tim Harmston. Tim Harmston's awesome.
Lovely human being. I love Tim.
I get to work with him in a place called Manitowoc Waters, Wisconsin.
And rolls off the tongue.
It does. It's the place you want to be when there's no place else to be. Sounds
like a really great spinoff of Cheers right there.
Yeah, there you go. But so he and this goes back. He came down to Goonies while I was running the open mic downtown one Thursday, and I said, "Oh, Tim, how much time do you want to do?" He says, "So 7 minutes."
It's dead.
And I said, "Well, dude, you can do more than that." He says, "Nope, 7's fine." Didn't realize it. The following, so he was down practicing a set for Letterman.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't realize it. The following week he was on Letterman, so he just came down and practiced, which I thought was super cool. And then I got to work with him at this show at a winery in wherever, Manitowoc Waters, and at the time he and Mary were both going. By the way, if you don't know, he's married to the other fantastic comedian Mary Mack. Look her up. She's done some voices on cartoons. I'm super jealous of her because
Solar Ups has just got their 5th season rolling on Hulu.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested, same maker as our creator as Rick and Morty. But yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, so I pick him up and we start driving up, and I'm like, man, I can't, I can't believe people ask me all these questions, and they're like, holy cow, somebody that's been on David Letterman was sitting in your car. And he says, yeah, and I still only made $13,000 this year. So
it's a fickle business, man.
I know. Yeah, I know a ton of people who have somehow wrangled their way onto one of these dry bar specials. And during the pandemic, when they released a lot of them, because I know a lot of people that recorded them and they never got released because they weren't good. And a lot of them got released during and a little bit past the pandemic because they didn't have any content.
Correct.
Anyway, I mean, I'll say I'm a bit jealous of that because I'd like to have something. I mean, everybody'd like to have something, but I don't. So that's kind of how that goes.
Well, but, it's funny when you say we'd all like to have something, but because I was working at Gutty's, the clean comedy.
Oh,
room,
yeah.
And there are so many of these guys that roll through, and they are like, I just recorded my dry bar special, or it just came out, and and for those of you who don't know, dry bar it's shot and it's filmed in
Salt Lake City.
Yep. And so, and it's really, it's for the Mormon community out there, really. Like it's forms of comedy that are not going to berate religion, or there's no alcohol being served either, which is always like, listen, I'm going to need some happy juice. You're going to need some happy juice. Like, let's get happy. But they don't have that. And you have to be very, very particular with your words. You cannot even go off script a little bit. If it veers too far into PG-13 territory, like they will cut you off at 15 minutes and basically just give you the Apollo hook, if you will, and it'll just wrangle you right off a stage.
Yeah,
I've heard of guys just going off script. Like, here's the jokes I'm going to tell. Here's the run through for the producers, and then you're booked. And then all of a sudden, just get out there, and they're just not really feeling it, or it's not really working with the audience, and just total 180, go from left field into right, and you hit a deer on the way.
Yeah.
It's just, and that could be any show though too. Again, you think sometimes you're rolling in, it's going to be a great crowd. They know what to expect, and all of a sudden your first joke doesn't hit. Your second joke, maybe getting them on board. Third joke is maybe a backstep, and you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And you can't even say oh shit because they will fuck you up.
Out of all the late night shows that have existed, I would have loved to have done Carson. I would have loved to have done Letterman. Which were most beneficial? At the time, Carson was the thing because there was no cable, and at least when I was growing up, and even when he was still on, and there was more cable content, there was nothing like going on Johnny Carson. That's the guy. That's the show that made so many comedians, from Louis Anderson to Drew Carey to Rodney Dangerfield. They all busted into the mainstream from that show. Having said that, my opinion is that the Letterman show was more beneficial for stand-ups than Leno's Tonight Show. And then after that, I think probably Conan. But Conan was very specific about making sure that stand-ups came on. It's not the same now. I mean, they'll still have some stand-ups on, and on the late, on Fallon and Colbert and Kimmel, but it's just not the same thing. Not now. Having said that, if I could wrangle my way onto one of those shows, would I do it? Of fucking course. But it's not the be all and end all that Letterman and the Tonight Show for sure were. I mean, there were. Steve Gillespie won some contest on goddamn Country Music Channel, CMT. All of these channels, and that's the thing. I kicked myself in the ass because one of the things that happened in my lifetime is that there are so many channels for content that if you really want to get on somewhere, you can. But you got to be relentless about it. And that's the thing. A lot of people, like, I was talking with somebody about this up in Duluth. They're like, oh my gosh, you should be X and Y and Z. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. The problem is that I suck. I mean, you can tell by how many viewers we have on this show. And this is a great show. But I suck as a self-promoter. Absolutely suck. I can promote other people, but not me. So it's one of those things, I mean, there's whatever. Anyway.
So honestly, actually, if Carson was ever even around when I was even close to adulthood, I mean, I'm 40 years old. He's been obviously he's been dead for a long time too, but obviously he's been off air for 38 years, for like 35 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's been a long time.
Yeah. I mean, and Jay Leno had a good run, but yeah, Jay Leno didn't do enough as far as, and this is a guy who was a stand-up comedian before getting that gig. So you figured he would have been the one pushing for that. Letterman kept a lot of people because, I mean, Letterman, Carson was his lead in as far as the late late night with David Letterman or whatever. So yeah, I mean, but Conan was probably the closest, especially, because you and I have not only, you mentioned Steve Gillespie, he's done a Conan set, Isaac Whitty, Cy Amundsen. We know Brian Miller did not only he did Colbert,
Chris Ferguson or Craig Ferguson.
Yeah. And then Tim Harmson on Letterman, Mary Mac's done Conan. But I remember watching and going back and watching Steve Gillespie's Conan. I thought it was fantastic. Tommy Ryman's been another one on Conan as far as like local friends of ours.
Oh yeah.
And I watched Steve Gillespie's Conan, and then I started reading through all these comments, and that's part of it, man. Right now is just if you put anything on the internet, just prepare for all the worst comments. I mean,
yeah,
we've even had it on the show. I've just yelled at Joshua Joseph before for just saying some heinous shit on this show. But and I responded to a couple of them. I was like, hey man, you're out of line. And Cy Amundsen actually hits me up. He's like, hey man, I saw that you just posted on YouTube, like on the comment section of this video. Don't, because he doesn't need that shit. You don't need that shit.
Yeah.
These people you can't reason with at all. I think that's been part of it, is just the fact that with the internet and how vast it is with, you can go to YouTube and we're out there live on YouTube, on Twitch, on X, and you just never know what you're really going to get as far as the comments and the concerns and everything. And I think that's one of the biggest detriments, is because, we even watch the oh my God videos, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, there's none of that for fucking comedy. Like, oh my God, right. There used to be that video that musician comedian who a dude just like stands up in the audience and looks like he's going to come towards him, and he hits him with his guitar.
Oh yeah, El Cabal.
Yeah, like the audience just goes fucking nuts against the comedian because he wasn't attack. He was like, hey, well, you saw it. He started walking towards him. Like,
it's insane.
To have to again, that's the closer we're gonna get to oh my God. And then you got all these heckler videos, like Steve Hofstetter just became uber popular as redhead comedian destroys heckler. I'm like,
yeah,
I went to one of his shows, man, and he sets that shit up, dude. Like he wants a moment where you're heckling him, but you got to understand. I mean, there's so few times that's genuine, and part of even the problem today, you get these small little clips on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook where it's just a small little clip. And what's the most popular ones? The crowd interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. It's so hard to make sure that goes your way, because most of us don't want anybody to heckle. I mean, I brought Isaac Whitty earlier before. He is one of the funniest dudes alive, but his set is so worked.
Can't go off script.
Yeah. Every detail. And if you heckle him, fuck, and he is thrown off, and now he's pissed off. And again, he's a great guy, and I love Isaac to death, but that's always, he knew it was one of his detriments, was the fact that he's just, he just can't handle crowd work. He's just not that guy. And it's not that he's not, Isaac Whitty, but it's not like he's not fast enough to do it. It's just he has the jokes set up, and he knows exactly what 45 minutes to an hour of his material is. And when you screw with it and it gets pissed off, I saw him at Joke Joint. I was the host, and Nate Abshire was the feature, and Abshire had already left. And then Isaac Whitty doesn't come off the stage the right way. He's so pissed off at this dude who's fucking heckling and just ranting and just raving, not even trying to piss off Isaac, but he just kept talking to him. Isaac Whitty just walks off stage front corner, just right out the fucking door and out to his car. He's gone. I had to hey, thanks everybody for being here. He doesn't even shake my hand. He's just out the door. And we talked about it years later, and he's just like, man, that's one of the few sets that I remember from Joke Joint because of how much I wanted to absolutely punch that dude in the face. And this is a big shit brick house, man. Like this. Yeah. He's like, I was gonna fucking nail him. I was like, it's probably not a good idea. And then that guy also tried to have sex with his girlfriend after the show in the women's restroom. So he's also yeah.
Man, it's not even a fancy restroom at the old Joke Joint.
No, probably some of the worst restrooms. Wow. As far as comedy clubs go, it's real close. Like Acme's one of the best comedy clubs in the world, and the toilets there are fucking dog shit.
Oh yeah.
I can say that because they'll never fucking hire me.
Yeah. Well, I don't expect to ever go there unless somebody passes away and says, "I really like to have John Russell show up." It's funny though, because you mentioned another guy that is like that with being scripted is a guy named Dwight York. And if you guys like comedy, I'm telling you, go look up Dwight York. He is the single greatest one-liner writer that I've ever known. And if it weren't for self-sabotage, this is a guy that was literally built, and his act is built for being on late night TV.
Correct.
And he just never got that chance, never got that break. And a lot of it, like I said, was due to some self-sabotage and self-doubt. But I was working with him in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and we were at a fantastic place, great crowd. The place is packed. If I remember right, they did a show there once a month. And I go up, I do my set, and it was awesome. But I notice in the front row, there's two couples, and the guys are on the outside, and the girls are sitting next to each other. And they are, while I'm up there, they're talking to each other. It's not bothering me. So, and they're not talking to me, they're just talking to each other while I'm doing this. And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck? I don't care. So I go on about my business and I get done. And then Dwight goes up and is doing his set, and things are going great. He is about 45 minutes into his hour. And all of a sudden he says, if you two keep doing that, I mean, you got to stop it. The problem is nobody else in the whole place could hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, really, and he says, it really, you're just throwing me off. Nobody else is, so it becomes this weird thing. And then it was just weird the rest of his time up there. But the problem was with everybody else, he was killing until that point. I worked with another comedian, I don't want to mention his name. Same thing. But this guy is one of those guys, you talk about crowd work, and some of you know when you talk with the audience, it's crowd work, right? So he has this little quirk where he likes to start interacting with the audience, but he doesn't know how to turn it off. Mm-hmm. And so he'll ask questions and he'll start talking with somebody, and then when he's ready to move on, they still want to talk to him.
Correct.
Instead, and then he's mad because they won't shut up. But it's like, you invited this. And I worked with him twice where this happened. And he's just like, God damn, I don't know how. I says, you got to stop doing that invite, or you have to say, okay, back to you have to do something to delineate when you're done. But it's the same thing. He goes all the way through, and then somebody was doing something, and literally, I know his act because I've worked with him many times. And here it comes down the pike, and and I'm like, you're almost done. And he's like, yeah, you got to stop doing that. Don't they got to stop doing that? Am I? And then he's asking the crowd, am I in the wrong? Like you'd like the El Capone.
Yeah.
And the crowd's like, we don't even know what you're upset about. And you should, and it's just this whole thing, this mental thing where some people can deal with that shit and some people can't. Some people get all worked up about stuff. Oh my God, the lights aren't great. How can I do my show with the lights? Oh, here we go.
I didn't, might shake my ass maybe.
I think you're making this up.
Yeah, Tom, that's not me. That wasn't me. That was a Bert Kreischer ripoff. You got
except the lower portion.
The lower portion. He just decided to strip off. He's like, "This is the machine." Gross.
No, this is the machine.
So, but back to what you were saying, though, I got a story like that too, and it was me. I was at Lansing's Corner down there, close to Austin, and I don't know. The show itself was okay, but Ryan Stock was the one who had booked the show, and then he started hosting at Goonies. Younger kid.
Oh,
Caleb?
what's his face?
I
I
don't know.
know who you're talking about.
Last name
I know
starts
who
with
you're
an H or something.
blonde kid, right?
Yeah, yeah. So he's the host. Doesn't introduce really the show at all. He just starts, "Hey, everybody, I'm," and then that's it. Like, and then he just goes into his set. I'm like, okay. And I'm supposed to be the headliner. And then they had a local. She she does the bingo there. It's a cross dresser. Wonderful set for the audience because they
Mhm.
know her.
Yep.
And but then when she's done, there's one other comic, Aiden McCluskey, who did his best to try and get them to understand that we're not all this person. We can't interact with us. And
Yeah.
Aiden set didn't go well after trying to get him back. Like he did his best, but it just in the grand scheme of things, it did not go well.
And I love Aiden. And by the way, Aiden was won the funniest person in the Twin Cities contest up in Minneapolis before the pandemic.
Yeah, and he's actually going to be doing. I think he's doing Tim Nella's comedy show in a week or so. Not that I
Oh, he's
really
doing
wanted to do with the Nella World Order and stuff, but
he's doing another one.
I don't know. Or did that come either
That
way?
one was at the end of July.
Okay,
I think
all
Aiden
right,
was on there, and Big Mike and Riyadh.
right. So anyhow, so and I love Aiden, and again, he tried his best, and then I go up, and I got most of the crowd, but there's this one gal, and I thought everybody else like around her, they all looked like they were annoyed at her, and I was just like, hey, over there, I just like the jokes are going well, but like you're just a little too much. You're just talking a little too much. That's all I said, and then she's trying to almost like weirdly flirt with me, which is
Uh,
off-putting. Not like it hasn't happened before, but just like it was just kind of weird in the moment because I was telling her to be quiet, and then everybody else felt like my response to her was then too harsh. Where I'm like, I don't date people who don't appreciate what I do, and I'm like, that's or however I fucking said it, it just came off really mean, and so you know,
Shanky.
and then oh, Shanky here. Ah,
Yeah.
there he is. Nice. Shank, good to see you, buddy. Great job on Saturday. I know you didn't pick up the win for the openweight title, but you represented Team Top Shelf very well, and I appreciate you, buddy. But anyhow, so then the only person after I said this stuff that had any fucking respect for me after that show or wanted to talk to me was the server because she's like, yeah, I couldn't hear any fucking drink orders over there, not because you guys, because I couldn't fucking hear over her. And then every time she'd walk by, these were just like they were just barking out their drink orders at her too. I'm like,
Oh
all right.
man.
The show went so fucking horrible and downhill after I just did this that the audience calls back for the bingo host to come back up and do another set. I'm like, and I told
Yeah.
Ryan, I go, if she goes back up there, I'm fucking walking the fuck out of here, and you owe me double the fucking pay. He goes, well, that's not part of the deal. I go, you bring her back up as a fucking amateur, like she's not getting paid. But I go, it's not an ego thing. I go, the show's fucking over when the headliner is done. I said,
Yeah.
you book me as a headliner, you bring her back up, you owe me fucking double pay. And he wasn't paying me much anyways, but I knew that like that would fucking, and he let her go up anyways. Like, all right, peace out. He goes, well, I can't. I go, no, I know you can't pay me double, so I'm fucking walking. I go, you figure out a way to fucking get me paid better on the next fucking show, and we'll maybe figure it out.
Yeah. That's one of the things too. It makes it super difficult um, when you have those situations. And I like Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
but Ryan does not have the experience, honestly, to be doing that. He's gotten better, I think, probably, but
Yeah.
it's the same thing. I work with another older gentleman who and I mean, I had a great set. Everything was fine, but there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people fucking in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why?
Yep.
Why? Just because he wants to, he wants to have more people involved, I guess, and that's fine. But I got paid what I wanted to get paid, so that's all that counts.
Well, in some of those shows, and like this is how it goes sometimes with comedy, because, and again, this is one where I don't think this really happens with wrestling because it's hard to do it with wrestling, right? But you book people who book other things, right? So if I line up a show and I book JR, and I know JR has a Thursday show that pays better than mine, but if I book him on my Wednesday show and he's getting paid $50 to do it, hey, is it possible if I did your Thursday show? Oh, yeah, because you're always looking for tit for tat on this stuff, because that's how you fucking make the connections. But there's a lot of these guys who will line up shows and they're dog shit.
Yeah.
And they want you to book them. So they'll book you with the idea that you're going to book them again. I even had a comic one time buy me a drink with the idea that if he bought me a drink and if I had a show, I was going to book him. I'm like, listen, this $8.50 Jack, watered down Jack and 7 at a bar outside of Rochester. Not even close to Rochester proper. I mean, this is outside Rochester. Like, okay, so you buying me this watered down Jack and Coke or Jack and 7 does not mean the next show I have to book, you're on it. That literally means, I mean, that's just an act of friendship. I bought friends fucking drinks before because most comics are poor as shit.
Yeah.
So they can't afford it, By the way, big shout out to Matty Starr. On Saturday, he not only bought me my first drink, he also bought a round of tequila for several of us. So Matty Starr, I think we made a turn. He maybe is taking a shine to the old top shelf. So just saying. I mean, it's hard to believe. I understand. But
yeah, you totally screwed the pooch.
Hey. I'm working on regaining the trust, but not too much trust because he is still part of Free World. So I gotta watch out because he seems, they got a problem with my boy Shank and Bryce. I don't necessarily care about the rest of the Waterloo guys all the time, but just saying. But anyhow, no, it was it's nice to actually be able to talk comedy, as far as like comedy meets wrestling, we don't really talk a lot about the comedy unless sometimes we're just, you and I get to maybe share something with some of the guests we have on, and
right.
It's every once in a while it's good to talk about this because, you and I have done plenty of shows of late too together, like that New Hope show, which I don't see Dan in the chat, but Dan and Stacy came all the way out from Wisconsin to see. They fucking surprised us. That was good. And that's one of those ones though too. Didn't know what to expect there. I had a lot of friends who showed up, a lot of friends, a lot of family show up.
Yeah.
And then you never quite know because there's other people that are going to be there too. So how do your friends interact with other people kind of thing? Like, are they going to are they going to deliver laughs that you want them to? There's a lot of times where like, oh, I always thought you were much funnier in person. Like as a conversation wise, I go, yeah, dickheads. Cause I'm still a funny person. I just happen to be, the jokes are there. Like laugh at the jokes, please.
Absolutely.
Like the old Jed Bush things, like applaud, clap for me. Jesus Christ.
Oh God.
Pulling teeth sometimes, but oh really? Did not know that. Hey, there's Dan. Speak his name and he appears.
Hey, buddy.
He's the new Joe Hendry. Say his name and he appears. It's Dan Frank.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good show. It was fun. And then sometimes, like a non-hostile or possibly hostile environment, like Jellybean and Julia's, their first comedy show.
Yeah,
just
that was also fun.
You want, but yeah, it's still fun. But
it was fun. And I know that the gentleman that you kind of suggested maybe look that over. I know he talked with him. I don't know what's going on with it.
Yeah, I gotta try and get a hold of both of those guys because it sounded, from talking to the booker that we both know, fall's always a bit better time to launch a comedy show. because then you probably get fall, winter, and early spring as far as Minnesota goes to have something inside where you're not losing people to the great weather. Because so very rarely do we get winters like we just had where, hey, what's snow?
Right. Well, not only the winter, but now the summer. I mean, think about it. We haven't had a terribly hot summer either. And summer's getting, I mean, we're talking 13th of August. We're talking towards the end of the summer now.
The unofficial summer, if you will. Yeah, we always, like through Labor Day around here, just because we got, again, that Minnesota State Fair coming around the corner. By the way, I got to ask you this question. Because, our friend Trish Cook, who I'll fill in for her on trivia nights sometimes at Dusty's and all that. And we're working on some other stuff with just even trivia nights. But she's, again, running the talent show, that stage at the State Fair.
Oh, really?
And I had somebody years ago, like 4 or 5 years into doing comedy, they asked me to try out for that, and I was like, "You don't want that."
Oh, Maggie Ferris goes to it every year.
Oh yeah, and she can do that because Maggie is
funny.
She's very funny. No, I mean she is. She's immensely talented. She's also mostly clean.
Yeah.
And she's likable by a lot of people because even though she's a lesbian, there's a lot of people, like conservative people, that would just love the idea of like the story she shares and how she shares. I mean, I did when it was still Joke Joint at Laugh Camp, right? Or before it was Laugh Camp, it was still Joke Joint then for the first round of bookings there first year. And she was the headliner and I was the feature and Todd Skoda was the host.
Mm-hmm.
And she was so fucking likable because they actually they used to do a play every year in the cabaret room there, and they would drill the set down so it couldn't move because of how sometimes you got to flop into a chair or onto the couch, so it couldn't be moved. So it's very hard to walk and work around. So she just, instead of trying to walk around all this stuff, she just takes the mic out of the stand at one point and she just goes sits down in the Barca Lounger, invites somebody up from the audience to just have a conversation on stage. It's one of the funniest fucking 5-10 minutes of comedy I've ever seen because she's just rolling with it. Like whatever their answer is, it's like, getting to know an old friend again kind of thing. And but it was so nice because she just takes the blanket off and she's draped over her lap and she's just having a fun old time.
Yeah.
Actually, we got a little bit of reprieve from some of those 85, 90 degree. I mean, Saturday was 74, 75 down in Iowa. It's like beautiful. I mean, the gymnasium, this old ass Steamboat Rock gymnasium, was hot as fuck because, even though you pay for them to turn on the AC and, you rent into the place and stuff and it's supposed to be nice. No one had done that. AC that's much, much newer than the fucking gymnasium. Now, why would we do that? And that whole old school, that whole thing, and Shank, I know he loves that venue because that's where he started and he trained in MMA and stuff. But man, I swear to God, that the old school locker rooms underneath the stage, way down deep in the basement, guarantee you somebody killed themselves down there. Just had that fucking horror, dude. It's like one of those old like locker rooms where like either somebody has filmed all of the horror scenes from some school horror film or whatever, or somebody's legit gone down there and killed themselves. So just saying. Fun venue though. Fun venue.
So is Steamboat Rock in Northeast Iowa? I don't know exactly where it is.
It's off of Highway 20 and it's east of 35. I-35. So Iowa Falls.
Oh, okay.
It's the biggest town. So actually the way it takes you as far as the quickest way is not even to go 35 all the way down to US 20. It's to get off on Iowa 3 by Dudley's Corner there.
Yep.
And then and it will take you down through Iowa Falls and then down to US 20 that way. And then you get off on like D35, some county road or country road. And it takes you into a town that you can only describe as lost to time. It's just, I think they stopped having school in this building in about 1959, maybe 60. And I will say this though. I will say this for this town of Steamboat Rock. I walked before the show down to the convenience store. And I saw about 4 or 5 really attractive women. Get done with the show. And I mean, it's not like any attractive women came to the show because it's, Steamboat Rock still. Go down to the fucking bar. The bartender, also highly attractive. And there's several attractive ladies at this bar. I'm like, the fuck is this? Is this like a weird little like hot spring of attractive women just like right here in Steamboat Rock? Like we popped out out of nowhere.
Just like, one nice looking family.
Yeah, probably. And then actually I left before apparently the wedding party got there and stuff like that. Or I was like, oh, that was I'm sure that would have drawn at least one more good looking gal, probably the bride, but you never know. You never know.
True. Well, as far as Duluth goes, though. So anyway, we've gone so far afield. Anyway, Randy was sick. It took me forever to find somebody. Well, not forever. I did find somebody within a reasonable amount of time, but yeah, it was somebody that I don't. Well, do you know Eric Anton?
God, it sounds familiar, but it's been a long time if I have seen him.
Yeah. So, and my pal Andy Fisher helped me get him. Although there was I had a lot of people give me a lot of names of people that might have been available, and I just was like, I don't know anybody, and it's just so difficult because the names that I was getting were, I'm like, I've never seen him. I don't know if I want to have him come up there with me. Anyway, so he says, "Oh, I've never done more than 20 minutes." I'm like, "Well, fuck. Come on, let's do it." Because at that point, I'm like, "Okay, I know who you are." Well, then I get up there and I find out Randy gave me some guy's name, but I didn't know who it was. I wasn't familiar, so I'm like, Randy's like, he's solid, and I'm like, well, you just called in sick. So I mean, I don't, and I anyway, the whole thing was, it went great. And I had so much fun, and it's just that kind of stuff makes me happy after all the BS that I got to go through with the day job,
Yep. It's true.
That's the main thing. It's just, anyway. So those of you that want to follow Tom and I, September 20th, we're going to be headed out to Bismarck, North Dakota.
Yes, sir.
That's a Friday. And we'll also be bringing Andy Fisher with us, or I don't know if he's going to ride on his own. I don't know what's going on with that. But
why would he want to go all the way from Rochester to Bismarck by himself?
I mean, I think he has in the past.
I mean, sure, I guess, but yeah, I'm gonna try and pull like the crazy fucking double that weekend with Bismarck on Friday, and then Newton, Iowa on Saturday for Absolute at the Thunderdome, which might be the last wrestling show at the Thunderdome. Who knows?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Madhouse was there for a long time, for a couple years, and then, they couldn't do this show. It was something that Thunderdome wanted, and then Madhouse couldn't do it. So our good pal Jason Prentice stepped up and is getting a show there. Good. I saw good old Daniel Mott at Steamboat Rock. He came out just to hang with the boys. And Impact Pro Wrestling CEO, founder, booker, however you want to refer to him, Troy Peterson made an appearance there as well. And that guy is so weird sometimes. So he's still paid to get in. And then as we're tearing down the ring, he just jumps on the boards and starts howling him outside himself. I'm like, the hell you doing, Troy? You paid to be here.
Yeah.
No one does this shit.
Well, he loves it,
He does. He does. And I was supposed to have Jason Prentice on commentary with me after the after intermission, and that didn't fucking happen. And so your boy's gotten pretty okay at play-by-play.
So you were winging it?
Well,
it was you and nobody else?
Me and by myself. I was pulling Joey Styles by myself there. For anybody who's ECW fans, he used to just do commentary by himself for ages and ages. And I will say this, I still got my jabs in about the local audience here and there. Have to. It's still Steamboat Rock. There's one guy who looked like a lackluster version of Frank Gallagher from the show Shameless. I mean, literally, if this guy had just more cuts on his face and not from meth, it would have been a spitting fucking image of Frank Gallagher. And so, real classy town, Steamboat Rock. The old school gymnasium has an interesting feel to it. I got to sit at the scorer's table to do commentary, which is really hard on the old fucking knees because you can't, it's bleachers still. So you got the scorer's table right there. It's a real weird way of doing things, but did that, and I had to run the camera, record off of the mixer along with the computer just to make sure we have backups. So
jumping catfish, man, you were busy.
Yeah, and then I actually had everything loaded back up into my car by about 9:10, and then just started talking to the boys, and a couple of people wanted to roll down to the bar. I'm like, I got one in me, and then one turned into two, and then got on the road, and I made it to Clear Lake before I was just damn near passing out. So we got about an hour in, got to that quick start there off of 35 in Clear Lake. Took about an hour and a half nap, got home about 5 o'clock in the morning then on Sunday.
I got home at like 2 from Duluth. I did not stop and have anything to drink, but I ended up selling a little bit of junk after the show to people. I'll tell you, those
magnets. You sell your magnets?
Yeah. Magnets are nice because I don't have to haul a bunch of crap.
It's true.
But it's so weird now because nobody has cash anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I had one lady ask, "So you got one of those sliders?" I'm like, fucking doing the backpack that I used to carry my shirts in.
Yeah, I mean, I have a square. I've never had merch, but I've had a square since for about 10 years now. And the only time I got to use it is I know the owners of the Underground Music Cafe in Minneapolis.
Oh.
And it's right next to Target Field. And their square system went down, or they couldn't get it logged back in, and the owner was not calling, so the manager's there, or he was not returning phone calls and stuff. So the manager's there, can't log in, so they're just trying to take cash only. So there's people like fucking leaving. I'm like, dude, I got a Square account. Like, I just fucking log in, literally just change the what it says on there as far as the receipt. So then everything was going to my account, and then I just had to, I got like 10% of the fucking cuts and shit like that, So I'm like, that's the only time I really fucking used it. Plus, then a few times doing some random like handyman shit where I had to run somebody's credit card and all.
Do you have the one that's the slider, or do you have the one that's a chip reader?
Slider, which probably doesn't even work anymore, to be real fair.
Probably doesn't. I keep thinking about getting the one that's a chip reader because it's like Bluetooth or something, and it's a chip reader, but right. I think it's expensive.
I don't know. I know a friend of mine who runs she has a spot at salon, and she cuts my hair. So don't judge her just based off of my hair, okay? I know some people fucking have like weird opinions about my hair. You can all go fuck yourself, okay? I don't give
Nobody has any weird opinions about your hair. They're all probably valid.
Shut up. You've been talking to Corey Adam too much then. But no, when she moved to this current salon, she wanted to get rid of her last card reader and stuff because it's going to just cost her too much. And they also didn't have a phone line for her to possibly use. So that's how old her last instrument was. Gotcha. So she did all the research into finding, a good one for, just reading chips or sliding or, inputting it or whatever. And so she doesn't have Square. There's one that was costing her just a little bit less percentage wise than Square.
Yep.
again, they're all actually relatively cheap. It just happened to be buying the equipment, buying the hardware. If you can just do it all on your phone, you're golden. But
yeah, well,
it takes a long time. You got a line of people like looking for merch and stuff like that. Like just tap and go, tap and go, tap and go. But,
yep. Oh, I was going to ask you. You didn't happen to run into Bryce Jordan down at Steamboat Rock, did you?
I did run into Bryce Jordan down
there. How are his nuts?
We did some talking, and I don't know if there's video.
Do you know how to get do you know how to get that video up there?
There is video somewhere, but I don't. It was sent to me. Somebody was fucking eavesdropping down there. It was
sent to you. It was sent to you.
Somebody was eavesdropping on our conversation. Let me see. I can try and pull it up here.
See what you can do. Give me a second. I mean, I'm just curious. I heard through the grapevine that there was a video. Not like I had anybody down there creeping you guys. That's a good one right there, Dan. It's not your hair. That's a wow. That's a nice line right there. That's a nice line. And that's from your pal Dan. Just think, Dan likes you. This is interesting. Okay. Oh, make sure you hit the video and turn it up.
Dude.
Oh.
Hey, they get the win tonight, but I got bigger plans to play, man. You and I, we got to start planning for November.
We have some issues.
We got some issues. We got at least one person we got to worry about. But, well, I guess maybe two. You watch the show. You know JR's been running his mouth nonstop. Even he watched the long last week for SummerSlam, got out of control, dude.
Well, what do you expect from a child? 90-year-old man-child.
Man-child, exactly. Very good point. I'll tell you what, man. A weeks from Marlou, right? You and I, we'll get all planned out. We'll get all written up. I'm going to get there a little early. Then get some stuff in place. Yeah.
He's not going to know what's coming.
That's the thing.
He's never going to know what's next.
Yeah, because he made both of us look like fools. It wasn't just me. Both of us. That's never going to fly.
That doesn't sit well with me, and there's no way I'm going to let that old, disgusting, worn-out piece of trash get one up on me.
Dude, absolutely, man. You know what? That's right. That's how we do it, man.
That's how we do in the top shelf. We get issues, we take care of them. Yeah. Let's go to the bar.
Stronger than ever. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Do you want to issue some apologies or something, or
what?
It's totally up to you.
I'd have nothing to apologize for.
You kicked him in the balls. You cost him that match almost completely.
The reason you were grabbing me was what?
I don't.
I mean, let's just. I mean, I don't want to be.
I was trying to get you away from the kids. I thought you were a detriment to the children, so that's why I was wrangling you.
I'm just trying to. Is this? I don't know which one's the right one.
Right.
Because I can't see. I don't know if he. I mean, I know it's here.
Let me get my readers on here.
I know it's here. Is that this one? No, that's near D. No, that's you whining about something. Is that? Oh, is that this one? Again, did you see the crowd absolutely love it?
You cost him the match. That's why they were loving it.
I didn't cost him the match. He cost the match to himself. If he would see, how do you figure that I cost him the match? If he would have gone on about his business and took care of business in the ring instead of trying to fuck around with me and kick me in the nuts, he'd have been golden. He'd have been a golden god instead of a golden weasel.
Yeah, you don't. Listen, I'm not saying that there's going to be come November. Because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Here's the deal. I guarantee you that there won't be hell to pay. Malice doesn't want that kind of bullshit going on in his shows. He doesn't. Even though the crowd absolutely loved the fact that you and Bryce got what you deserved after Low these many years, I don't think Malice wants that kind of bullshit going on in this show. He runs a good show. He and Luke don't want that shit. They would prefer us to do what we do, talk about the shows, help promote the shows, and stay the fuck out of the way. Because let's be honest, you and I have no business being anywhere close to that ring.
I wouldn't say no business. I'm pretty
no
athletic.
Business. No business. Maybe he'd like to have you clean some blood, but for the most part, you got no business near that ring.
I have plenty of business around that ring. I mean, I'm in the business myself. I'm a great commentary for Absolute.
You're a commentator, but you're not a wrestler and you're not a manager. You're a wannabe something or other, Tom, with your top shelf. And I will give you credit that you've promoted that well. You've made a name for yourself. And, even though Will Ospreay started it and you just kind of added on to it, the thing is that you've done a very good job. But that's as far as it goes, because nobody else knows what the fuck it is. You go one round with your top shelfity. Yeah, see, Tina knows. Tina can. It's evident to anybody that goes to the show.
You don't listen to mid-level Tina. Her opinion doesn't matter. Listen, all I'm saying is, you did wrong by me and Bryce.
I did not.
Yes, you did. Clearly.
What did I do wrong? I want to know what it was.
Yeah. Listen, it really wasn't even you. It was Tim selling us down the fucking river to promote his own Nella World Order bullshit.
Who super kicked him in the face?
Listen, that's just part of the business, man. Okay, Bryce is still trying to win a match, damn it.
So, in essence, what you're telling me is that you are favoring Bryce over Tim anyway.
Bryce was one of the original members of Team Top
Is that
Shelf.
what you're telling me?
Listen.
You're favoring Bryce over Tim, period, full stop. That's the end of the statement.
I'm not favoring him.
Well, but yes, you are. But yes, you are, because you're telling no. See, here's the thing, Tom. You have to open your eyes to this. You have to realize what you're saying. You're saying Tim Nellis sold us down the river. Well, how did he sell it? Maybe if you looked at it from the other side, you'd say, God damn it, what the fuck was Bryce doing kicking Tim Nella in the face when Tim Nella was about to score a nice spear on one of our mutual opponents?
Listen, I was trying to do best by both of those guys. I was hoping.
Didn't seem like it. I didn't see you go backstage when Tim when Bryce slammed him through the chair or through the door.
I mean, because I still had a guy in the. I mean, if this was really about Team Top Shelf as a whole,
if you really cared about it, Bryce put Tim through the table. Yep, he did.
It's a door. It was a door. It was a door.
It all matters.
You don't matter. Listen, I mean, you do, but in this conversation, you don't matter. You're just talking out your ass, really, man.
Because everybody can see. Everybody can see it a mile away, and
listen. Here's the deal: I had two members of Team Top Shelf in that match. Would I have liked to be able to get one of them down to the ring first, then come back and get the other one? Yeah, but I don't make the lineup as far as who comes out when. That was Luke and Malice's idea. Oh, we're going to have them back to back. Well, why don't we have them just both come together? That's not how it works, Tom. I'm like, well, they're both Team Top Shelf. And then those guys kind of tell me, like, my team doesn't matter. Okay.
So it seems to me like if anybody has you as a manager / mouthpiece / group leader, they're doing themselves a disservice. You got no pull with nobody.
Were they both not in the match? Were they not both in the match? They're both in the match, right? Yeah. Right. So they're both in the match. I got pulled and getting them both in the match. And again, Tim sold us out. Who comes up with Nello World Order merch when you're part of Team Top Shelf? He knew what was. He knew he was going to sell.
Let me ask you this.
He knew it.
Let me ask you this. If I wanted to buy a Team Top Shelf hat or shirt right now, could I get one?
They're in the works.
No, unavailable.
You know what? I know you would want one though too. Once you'd wear it with pride.
You know what?
Like, yeah, I'm part of Team Top Shelf.
I would probably get one and spray paint it and put Ass Boys on it, just like those. I got one of those shirts somewhere.
Oh, so gimmick infringement? That's what you want?
Oh, why not?
You're gonna steal from Danhausen and the Ass Boys?
Maybe I'll just spray on it with gold spray paint, Golden Weasel.
You're a Golden Weasel.
I love. By the way, Shanky, if you're still around, I love Shanky. I love Shanky to pieces. Who doesn't love Shank? It's Bryce that's the problem, and you don't see that. You could take Shank anywhere, anytime. People love him. Bryce, it's like carrying an extra douche.
Well, first of all, we all know you got to carry a second douche now, don't we? You fuck. Clean your ass. Anyhow, here's the biggest part of this all, right? That you don't understand is that Shank is just as valuable to Team Top Shelf as Bryce Jordan, because what are they? They are the absolute
He's
pro
more
wrestling,
valuable.
Absolute Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions. So they are a package deal as the boys. Okay,
sure.
So they both matter a lot. All right. Now, was Shank there in Rochester? No, he was not. I would have loved to have Shank there. I would love to have Shank be part of those shows. However, again, I'm trying to make the deals. I'm trying to wheel and deal. I'm trying to get everybody involved, right? Well, look what happened, right? Nerdy, part of Team Top Shelf, make an appearance November 9th at Madhouse. Wheeling and dealing, son. Wheeling and dealing. See? I'm not saying it's all about me. Nerdy's creativity and his positivity have helped create those opportunities for him. I'm just facilitating those in that direction, right? It's
does
true.
Anybody listening, watching in the chat think?
Don't go to the chat. Don't go to the
Tom. No, I'm just going to ask. I'm going to ask one simple question.
Jesus,
do you guys think Tom really truly believes the bullshit that's coming out of his mouth? Because it's all shit.
We were having such a good conversation.
I say this because you're my friend, Tom. I mean this sincerely. We give you crap about it, and everybody knows it. We actually, I love working with you. I love doing stuff with you. You are one of my good friends because you are legitimately a good person. Until you get going on with this Top Shelf shit, and it's like you take this step over from reality into this fucking dreamland.
What dreamland, man? I've been Top Shelf since the day I was born. I've been Top Shelf. Okay.
And why can't I get a shirt yet?
Do you really want a Top Shelf
I'd like to see the design before I put any money on it. But
all right,
maybe.
All right, I'll get you the design. I'll get you something.
I don't want it to look like shit.
Listen here, okay? I've seen your magnets with your fucking ass face on it, okay? So don't try and tell me you know what a good design is, okay?
So that's not about a good design. That's about peddling some magnets.
The crazy thing is, right? So Friday, I had a work event at night. So this is why I slept the majority of Sunday, by the way. Not just because I got home so fucking late and I worked like 2.5 hours, but I then got home and I slept from about 3 till 7.
Yeah.
But I got home so late. Thursday I was out golfing at that hole-in-one challenge. I heard, I told you about that, right? I didn't get home until like 3 a.m. because there's other things that were going on there. It wasn't just like the hole-in-one challenge on the driving range. There was glow golf. There's a putting challenge. There's bucket golf stuff. So like me and my buddies had a good old time. I got home at like 3 a.m. Then I work a whole fucking regular day of work. Go to a work event at the Saints game. Go to my buddy's house. Him and his wife were at the show at New Hope. And lo and behold, I'm just standing in the kitchen waiting to walk back or walk over to the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the refrigerator. I go, of course, I got to see John Russell's stupid fucking face in your goddamn kitchen right now because they got one of those big honking magnets that says, John Russell, I love you.
No, John Russell loves you.
Okay.
It's not John Russell, I love you. It's John Russell loves you.
Okay. Great. Creepy as shit.
No, it is not.
Corner of the refrigerator. Shut up. It is. It's fucking creepy. Shut up. But I was just like, of course. I mean, I see him every Tuesday. Well, every Tuesday when he's there. You know what I mean? Like, so I see him every Tuesday that he's there. And now I got to see him on this random Friday in your kitchen, technically, on a magnet. And that was the whole thing, too. He's like, oh, yeah, I don't think this magnet's moved since we bought it. And he moved it and like, yeah, you see, we wiped all the way around it or wiped over the top of it. We haven't even moved it to wipe the refrigerator underneath it. I was like, God damn it. Like, just frustrating. It's just so frustrating to have to see your, don't do that. Don't smirk like that. Your mug is already ugly enough as it is. You do this shit. You look like, you look like all those caricatures they used to do, back in like the 60s and 70s for like Bob Hope's caricature, like for the Bob Hope specials and shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what you kind of looked like with that smirk. Not that you've an actual, yeah, like yeah, you looked like those Bob Hope caricatures. Good for you, by the way. Oh, you want to cover something sad before we go? Because I don't think Ace is going to get on.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But yeah, what?
You hear about Kevin Sullivan?
No.
Passed away on Friday.
Oh no.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite Kevin Sullivan moment?
God.
I know it's so hard. The guy was in the business forever.
He was in the business forever and so involved in so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Some good, some bad. The thing that I think about him was that he was so involved in the business that he, in essence, pushed his wife to leave him because of the business. Yeah, pretty much.
Shanky baby. I was gonna say
that's exactly what we're talking about. But I mean, that's how much the guy loved the business and was into making things happen for the business that he didn't think twice about putting his wife in a spot where she would leave his pudgy body for a guy that was a little bit more built.
Yeah,
but then the whole.
I was gonna say some of that same shit. Is like, you put your wife, who's going by woman at the time, and she's gorgeous, and you put her with a guy who's more ripped than you, better mug than you, and listen to me, I'm fucking from the 1960s, and got a better mug than you.
And puts up his dukes better than you.
The fucking mug on this one, this fucking lady with her gams over here fucking runs on for fucking ever.
Legs up the race.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, basically, I can't tell you any one particular favorite Kevin Sullivan moment, just because
he was involved in everything.
He was involved in so many things backstage, especially as a booker. I guess maybe even that, like Pillman getting fired for, I respect you, Booker man. Like that was kind of like the last step in him getting fired from WCW, or one of them really. But and that's technically a Brian Pillman moment. That's not even really a Kevin Sullivan moment.
Yeah.
The Dungeon of Doom, or the leader of Dungeon
of Doom, yeah, Jesus.
Taskmaster and stuff. I mean, some of that stuff just didn't work. It didn't hold up outside of like the cartoonish nature and stuff. But the man was willing to work on some of that stuff and push some of the limits of what is believable still in the world of wrestling. But again, Booker, manager, backstage, just in the business for the vast majority of his life. Apparently, he had an accident back in May, that when he finally passed, it was basically complications from surgeries from that accident and everything like that too. So, born in 48 or something like that. So, something like that. So yeah, he was around for a while. Kevin Sullivan. Because I only just saw like the brief little clip on WWE. I was trying to watch the 90-minute Raw.
Oh yeah.
And I got to the point where they got to that women's tag match, and it was basically almost insufferable the first 5 minutes of it. So I had to turn it off, and I was like, we should almost be starting the show soon.
Oh my gosh. I just want to play this again. Did you see the people on the other side of the ring? They couldn't even see the kicks with their arms in the air and loving life.
That's because you did your little hop there with your arms in the air and stuff.
Well, so. I did kind of hop. I mean, that was a funny hop. I didn't realize it was going to look. It was going to look that juvenile, but I mean, those young little kids that were there, they really, boy, that was the best.
Are we all right? Yeah, listen.
Oh, by the way, we didn't go to First Wrestling's Blood, Sweat, and Beers this year up at the Bauhaus, and there was a surprise new champion. Matt Cardona won the championship and will now be defending it at the Saturday Nitro at the Mall of America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Now gotten to be a bigger show. I'm sure it's probably now finally sold out because the floor is sold out. The first level of the rotunda, second level, I think they still had third level of the rotunda still, which they didn't even sell last year. They only sold first and second. They kept the third floor closed off, mostly because it is right there by House of Comedy, and I'm sure they did not like having all that shit around. But I'll tell you what, that unfortunately is in September, and we got plans. Well, tentative plans right now to be at Bridge City Slam on the 7th, and then of course the 14th you got Madhouse at Adventureland or Adventureland shows. Absolute will be in West Des Moines for a show that night. The 21st is like I said, that's Newton, Iowa for Absolute, and then the 28th is my only Saturday off in September, and my buddy Craig and I are going to go golfing that day, because I just don't have enough time in the given week to get a good old fashioned round of golf in. So, yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. So Thursday, like I said, or technically Friday morning, midnight, we did the hole-in-one challenge. Well, me and one of the guys from there early in the week, we were like, yeah, let's go golfing beforehand. I'm like, all right, played 18 holes at Theodore Wirth. The front nine is very flat, very level, but then the back nine is where it's all pretty much straight up hill for hole 10, and it's a bunch of fucking hills.
Oh, man.
The two guys who paired with us are better players, better golfers than us. So they were willing to walk it. And it was also a pretty cool night out. So like that worked out for them. But man, I'm not good at golf. I had 115 strokes. I mean, and some of those are just missing putts. So, they're not full swings, obviously, but 115 strokes in 18 holes of golf, and then go out and just hit nothing but golf balls for 50 minutes. I guarantee you, I swung about 300 fucking balls in a less than a 24-hour period.
Holy cow.
It was, yeah, that's true. You don't, but yeah, no, it was a lot. My back was real sore. My My legs are sore. My fucking abs were sore. This is what I'm telling you. Like WDHC podcast was mentioning, like I'm looking swole. No, I just fucking golfed too much in less than 24 hours. And my body kind of atrophied a little bit. I'm just like, okay, fucking got to work, do some physical labor. Oh no. So yeah, fun stuff though. And of course, 24-hour golf or hole-in-one challenge sponsored by Waggle. All the proceeds, all the work and the volunteers put in, all of that went towards Special Olympics Minnesota. So good, worthwhile cause. And if you get a hole in one, which by the way, there was one dude who hit 2 fucking hole in ones literally an hour before we got there. Fuck you, old man, because it was an old timer. He was like playing off like it was no big deal because he hit 4 of them just regular golf in his lifetime before then, and he's fucking 2. And Loggers Trail and Stillwater, they have 2 short holes on their driving range, and this is where that's at. So one's 105 depending on where you hit from, and one's 135 again depending on what bay you're at. And I'm like, so this motherfucker literally, his group was just kind of cycling through like every 10 shots or whatever. So he finishes up one set of 10, hits it, and then he's back up about 7 minutes later or whatever. And then his very first ball on the next set of 10 fucking goes right in the other hole. I'm like, I'd sit down then, because you get 2 of the gift packages. I can't wait till that fucking video comes out for the highlights from this year's event and shit like that. And I'm over here. There's several times I'm like, I think my ball's in the cup up there. Like, no, there's no balls in that cup, man. I'm like, check it again. Check it again. But it was a fun time, but very, very tired, and did myself no favors last night going out playing some trivia. But actually you can see me this next Monday hosting trivia at Dusty's. I might even do a wrestling category. I'm thinking about doing a wrestling category because none of these people who go out there and play trivia, they hate all sports categories and questions. They hate everything like comedy movie wise. So I think all I'm going to do is just come up with like a sports category, a wrestling category, and then like a comedy movie category, and just be like, fuck you guys. I'm vengeful and spiteful. Fucking nerds.
Yeah. That's you in a nutshell.
What do you got coming up though? We'll wrap this before Ace gets on.
Yeah, so let's see here. Next thing I got going, I believe, is August 31st. I'm at AEGIR Brewing. Alex Weber is having me do that show on the August 31st.
Elk River, though, right?
Huh?
Is that Elk River?
I think so.
Yeah. I've heard that brewery is starting to do some comedy, which, I mean, I don't know. Have you talked to Fink about that?
No, I don't care.
He is that guy, but
he's not gonna. I mean, whatever. Let's see what else. Where are we at? We just have to. We might be doing a podcast. Tom and I might be doing a podcast with our pal Kelly Berger on the 29th. I don't know if that's live or recorded. To be honest with you,
I don't know. When he first was doing like a demo for it or whatever, he interviewed me and it was all recorded. So I don't know if he edits anything. He might just go live. I don't know. I guess I got to hit him up, I suppose.
Yeah, but that'll still work for me anyway. By the way, Friday going to Metallica with my 8-year-old grandson. So,
that's too sweet, bro. You got too sweet.
I don't know what the fuck you do anymore. Anyway, September 13th and 14th, I will be at Laugh Camp with J.L. Calvin. So that'll be fun. 2 nights at the same place. Only thing is I got to drive to St. Paul to do it.
And that's really not too bad from where you're at. So
no, it's not bad. It's just, I remember the last time I did that, it's kind of a pain in the ass to park.
That's why I just get there early.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still kind of a pain in the ass to park. Anyway.
Club validates for you or like.
Do they? I don't remember. I parked a block.
Check your itinerary. I think there's a couple spots they have in the back. If you pay in the back parking lot, I think they will reimburse you for it. But I'm not certain.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I worked for Funny Business at that club. So
yeah. Oh, me too. Me too. Since before the pandemic. Anyway, and And then Tom and I will be in Bismarck, North Dakota. We expect all of you watching to take the trip and follow us to Bismarck, North Dakota at the, I think it's 613 events, 613 Main Event Center.
1306 Main?
I don't remember what it is. There's a 6 and a 3 and a 1 in it, and there might be more than, but it's there. I've done it. I've done it a couple of times before. I think you've done it before. It's a super fun place to do a show, and so we'll look forward to that. I think it might be the first one for their season. So
yeah, they get so busy with weddings in 1603 Main Events.
That's it.
Or event center, because it's on Main Street and that's the address. Yeah. So, but yeah, they get so busy with weddings in the spring, summer, and fall. This is their first time kind of filling it in on a Friday. They didn't have anything booked, but I know that Saturday they're probably booked with their wedding. So
yeah, I'm guessing that's the case too. And then she gave me a couple options, and she gave me one in October. I was like, oh, I'd rather do the one in October because I got a lot of other stuff. But October got booked because what happens now is, it's the same thing. When I'm out doing my day job and I get a booking request, sometimes I don't see it like right away, and you know how it is. You send out multiple booking requests go out, and you don't respond right away. Sometimes it's like,
oh, that one's already been given away, so
sorry, gone. I mean, and I know that, and I just appreciate the fact that I still even get asked, because as I mentioned before, I am not going out of my way to try to get stuff booked, just because I'll be honest, at this point, I like to stay home on the weekend, which is terrible because I absolutely love going out and doing shows. By the way, you guys, any bars, anything, restaurant, supper club, talk to them, let them know Tom and I would love to come and do a show for them. We really don't promote ourselves well.
What do you mean? I'm the top shelf. I'm always promoting myself for wrestling and shit. I'm really pretty bad with comedy and stuff. It's not so much that I don't think I'm good at comedy. It just happens to be.
That's the business.
It's very frustrating. So, but yeah, and then the 31st for August, I forgot to mention this exactly. Absolute Pro Wrestling returns to the Cedar Valley Sportsplex.
Oh,
in Waterloo, right across from the Dan Gable National Wrestling Museum, which of course has our favorite Hall of Fame, the George Tragus Luthez Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. So big stuff there, Waterloo. Can't wait. Fortunately, it's also Labor Day weekend, and then we got a couple of pay-per-views coming up for All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah. By the way, AEW has a dual package now where you can, on Triller TV, you can get them both for a price that's a little bit better than buying them singly.
Yes, and so I don't know if we'll do any watch alongs for that, but we shall see. It's going to be an interesting couple weeks for that, and then and then we're right in it. Bash in Berlin's coming up. We got fucking Bad Blood for WWE as well coming up. So Survivor Series War Games, of course, then too. Sorry, I got a fucking
there's so much stuff.
Late season fruit flies, love it. Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. So you'll see our stupid faces any and everywhere.
Yes.
Oh, that's all.
All of you, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. And Tom, we went longer than I expected, but that's okay because I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed having all of you with us, whether you were watching on Twitch, on YouTube, or on X. We appreciate it. And by the way, ours started right away on X. Ours didn't glitch at all. We didn't have any problems. Just saying.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.